Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a fascinating look at human behavior, power dynamics, and what it actually means to lead. We're going to unpack some pretty profound stuff that maps out this huge tension between exploiting people's vulnerabilities and, well, just choosing to foster genuine goodness. It's a deep dive, and as you'll see, we're going to make these complex ideas incredibly clear.
All right, let's kick things off with this brilliantly provocative cold open from Confucius. If they spit at you behind your back, it means that you're ahead of them. Think about that for a second. There is something just quietly profound in that observation, right? It doesn't celebrate the spitter, and it definitely doesn't throw a pity party for the person being spat on. It just completely reorients the whole encounter. Which actually poses our central question for today. If you do have an advantage, if you find yourself ahead, what exactly are you going to do with it? Do you exploit it, or do you use it to build a lasting legacy? To answer that, we're going to follow this roadmap. We'll hit the view from behind, check out the mechanics of control, look at why systems keep running, compare authority versus true legacy, explore empathy as the counterweight, and finally, wrap up with choosing your forward direction. Basically, we're going from the cold, cynical realities of manipulation straight through to a much more hopeful model of empathetic leadership. Let's jump right into Section 1. The view from behind.
So, we really need to look at what Confucius meant by this geometry of hostility. The absolute crucial point here is that hostility is really just a confession of position. I mean, if someone's aiming hostility at your back, well, you're ahead. But here's the catch. Being ahead isn't the end of the story. It's literally just the starting line. It forces a choice. You can use the social and psychological machinery of human nature to consolidate your power, widen the gap and keep everyone else behind you. Or you can choose to build something that outlasts that momentary advantage. That tension between leverage and legacy, that runs like a fault line through everything we're looking at today.
Moving on to Section 2, the mechanics of control. Now, to really understand the choice we have, we've got to understand the machinery we're operating within. This brings us to the core thesis of our journey, the darker side of human nature. Author Robert Greene steps in here with a deeply unsettling, yet honestly demonstrably true, look at how generosity can literally be weaponized. He warns us about the unexpected gift, saying, most likely the gift giver is loosening the soil before planting their seeds. What Greene is describing here is the Machiavellian gift. It's an act of generosity that's actually used as a mechanism of control. And the reason it works so well isn't just because it's cynical, it's because it totally bypasses our defenses. When someone gives us something, it exploits this deep, tender part of our emotional architecture. It's like all those complicated feelings of needing parental approval just rush back, and our willpower loosens up. We drop our guard. The ancient Chinese actually referred to this as giving before you take. The twisted genius of it is that it completely acknowledges that taking is the actual goal. The giving is just the Trojan horse to get there. It's cold, calculating wisdom about how this machinery really works. Which leads us to Section 3, why systems keep running. So, if this kind of manipulation is so common, and let's be real, it's pretty obvious once you know what to look for, we have to ask, why do these systems persist? Well, Seth Godin points out 5 distinct forces that keep any system locked in place. You've got the status quo multiplying through our networks. There's the heavy gravitational pull of sunk costs because we've already invested so much, right? Then there's the practical necessity for things to just, interoperate smoothly. Add in the self-interest of the people sitting at the very top of the hierarchy. And finally, perhaps the biggest one, our deep, fundamental human hunger for affiliation. We just want to belong. And this perfectly illustrates the exact substrate that allows Greene's Machiavellian tactics to work so reliably on all of us. That emotional conditioning from childhood, it never fully dissolves because it is a system, and systems are built to persist. But here's the thing. Godin's prescription isn't to just blindly fight the system outright. That's a losing battle. The resilient path is actually to work strategically within it. This rhymes perfectly with the quiet wisdom of Josh Billings, who said, life consists not in holding good cards, but in playing those you hold well. Look, you didn't choose the psychological or social system you were born into. None of us did. But you absolutely do choose what you do inside it. Playing your cards with complete awareness. Let's dive into Section 4, authority versus true legacy. And that sense of awareness is the perfect transition into the clash between authority and true legacy. Take a look at this map of tensions. It brilliantly illustrates the core debate across all our sources. It's a stark divergence. On one side, you have the machinery of control. Its whole focus is manipulating human nature, and the outcome is simply maintaining authority. But then, on the exact opposite side, you've got the counterweight of empathy, where the focus shifts to fostering genuine goodness, and the ultimate outcome is building a legacy. Simon Sinek draws a really clean line here. He says authorities have control, leaders have legacies. Green's master strategist, the one who gives right before taking, that person is an authority. They manage information, they use generosity as a distraction, they'll even rescue dependents just to keep them grateful. But true legacy, there's an Arab proverb from our source material that hits the nail on the head. If someone has a hot temper, let them face the consequences. Because if you rescue them once, you're going to have to do it again. Building a legacy is about building independent people who absolutely do not need rescuing. To really drive this concept home, the author Anthony DeMello has this fantastic little parable. A man finds his lost shopping list, uses it to buy all his groceries, and then happily tosses the list in the trash as a useless scrap of paper. The takeaway is just perfect. The list was never the point, the groceries were. Authority and control, they're just a vehicle. The second you start hoarding that list, clinging to control and leverage just for the sake of it, you've completely confused the vehicle for the destination. Now for Section 5. Empathy as the counterweight. So, if hoarding control is a trap, how do we actually build that legacy? We do it by tapping into the ultimate counterweight to manipulation, and that is empathy. The philosopher Plato completes the circuit for us with this timeless reminder: be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. This isn't some clever tactic. It's definitely not a strategy to disarm someone or, plant seeds for a later harvest. It is simply the profound recognition that the emotional vulnerability Robert Greene talked about isn't some weakness unique to gullible people. It's the shared, universal condition of just being human. In a way, we are all children sometimes. And author Ryan Holiday completely flips Greene's metaphor on its head. Where Greene looks at the inner child and sees a vulnerability just waiting to be exploited, Holiday shows us that this childlike state is actually a site of genuine openness and wonder. It's a massive wellspring of trust. Holiday points out that modeling empathy, like, say, reading fiction with your kids so they can understand the interior lives of people who are less fortunate, that honors that trust. It builds something incredibly real rather than just exploiting it for a quick piece of leverage. Which brings us to our final part, Section 6, choosing your forward direction. This is where we hit our synthesis. It's where we finally reconcile that cold, hard machinery of control with the warmth and absolute necessity of empathy. The philosopher George Christoph Lichtenberg gives us 2 sequential steps to reach this wisdom. Step 1, question everything. You absolutely have to achieve the unsettling clarity to see the machinery. You need to know that your own generosity could be weaponized and that others might be doing the exact same thing to you. You've got to see the game. But step 2 is the real game changer. Come to terms with everything. Now, this doesn't mean giving up. It means deliberately choosing to work within those systems to build a legacy, rather than just running the machinery to keep people beneath you. Miguel de Cervantes captures this synthesis perfectly. He says, great persons are able to do great kindnesses. Knowing exactly how the dark machinery of the world works doesn't stop you from being kind. Actually, it empowers you. It gives you the freedom to choose, deliberately, to be generous without attaching any hidden strings. True greatness is what actually enables true kindness. So the core error in the Machiavellian system isn't that gifts are being given in the first place. It's that they come with these hidden agendas. Correcting that error means giving without the taking. It literally means giving before you give again. As we wrap up this explainer, let's circle right back to where we started. If they spit at your back, you're ahead. But remember, being ahead isn't a destination. It's merely a direction. And that leaves you with one ultimate defining choice. Are you going to use your advantage to just widen the gap and look backwards? Or will you use your lead to orient forward and reach toward a legacy that is actually real? So, what are you moving toward?